wrote a small note for myself. Like, here's the things. I'm so bothered by a lot of YouTubers. There's actually just a very few that are good at actual filmmaking, but the other ones are just YouTubers. I just like to keep them as their label, just YouTubers. Hello, everybody, and I'm here to talk about the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. And the thing is, I'm coming from the perspective of a inspiring filmmaker that works full time. I don't like. It'd be good if I get to touch my camera twice a week. I mean, that's how rare I get to. That's how full time I work. Of course, I love my full time to be actually filmmaking. Sorry, I'm gonna look off to the distance because my notes are on the wall, plastered on the wall right there. And so this is a video of owning Blackmagic 6K and what you need to know, even though you're gonna buy it anyway. And the reason why I say you're gonna buy it anyway, because that's exactly my mindset. Was no matter what people said, what I valued and what I needed was in that camera, and no matter what people say, no matter all the negative stuff that people can say online, it would not shake me from buying it. And this is a video for those people. Same thing, same mentality, because in your mind, you want to get started. You want to get started in the best way possible, which would be getting a camera that shoots raw, because you want to get into that raw workflow. You want to see what makes a difference and how you can get certain creative looks, because in your mindset that for the value for the money, you got the most important part, which is what it records. 6K raw, that's the most important part. You would rather pay $2,000 for that and deal with the shortcomings than pay more for possibly not even as good of a image quality, or possibly even, just a little bit more limiting in the workflow, but more expressive in the run and gun aspect, which again, filmmakers don't run and gun. You're making film, you're capturing content in an organizational way. You're trying to create a story, have things a bit more organized. You're not doing what these YouTubers do and like vlogging on the streets or whatever. Okay, so first point is something you need to know, even though you're gonna buy the camera anyway. It's important to know it is not a scientifically accurate sensor. Now that is, my dog's in front of me. That is actually the major thing that I believe all Blackmagic owners should know, is that it is not a scientifically accurate sensor. And that's actually what you pay for in the cinema world when it comes to the FX series, especially the FX7 and the FX9. They're the higher end. They really put a lot of care into those sensors. It just captures more. But also Arri, Canon, and Red, especially Red. Red is the most scientifically accurate sensor, and that's why they cost significantly more. Now here's the thing: the image quality, resolution, and capability of the camera, that's amazing. It's still, the camera is still way beyond the value that it's selling at. If you look at a video of Carlos Quintero, he actually explained that he had 3 of them and they just couldn't match. And same thing with the problem with the Blackmagic 6K Pro that people are having, is that, don't mind my dog's eating, 6K Pro, is that people are finding tints, color shifts, quality of controls that doesn't get as much love as the Ursas, or nearly as much as the other brands. So that's not going to stop you. First of all, these minute color shifts on a indie scale, on a low budget scale, on a filming by yourself scale, that's not a problem. Like, no, you're looking at this camera to use as an A cam. So whatever slight variation of a smallest inaccurate color, and I really mean small, they're extremely small. I'm not saying there's zero quality control. There is just not as a strong due diligence. So you're not gonna get like super green images. Like that's not gonna happen. To the people that are looking at this camera to get it, you're looking at the image quality that you can produce. Once you get to the scale where that accuracy matters, you'll be able to afford the other cameras. Oh yeah, just like I mentioned, it's great if you have one. It gets a little hard when you have 2 because you have to match it, but it's better to have 2 of these than one bigger camera, believe me, when it comes to making film. Of course, you're organizing your work, you block, you get more content, you get more you don't exhaust your talent as much. You actually save time. Actually, and I really mean it, time is money, and you save time by having more cameras to shoot at once than one. For those people that say I'd rather have one good camera than two slightly inaccurate camera or two pocket 6Ks, whatever, they're not filmmakers. Like, go on their IMDb, check all the movies that's under their belt. Yeah, you're gonna see none. But three, that is, you better be good at grading. And also, that's actually the other thing I was gonna mention, that if you get this camera, get good at grading. You're supposed to be good at grading anyway. If you're a DP director, you're just trying to have your part to really get your reel going, get things going. You still shouldn't understand grading. I think in 2021, anyone that's working film, indie film, should know how to do it. Especially at our level, you're gonna have to be like a lot of people at once. And also, if not, you gotta be a lot of people to step in when other people can't show up. You gotta test and know your cameras, so that if in case you do get multiple of these, which I have intentions on, you get good at grading to truly match these cameras as much as you can. And when it comes to the film world, those slight variables, not an issue. Commercial world, that might come up, maybe. But like commercial world, you probably get a bigger budget. I would say if you have two of them, you can 100% get away with it. It really does depend on the batch you get and like how strongly they look different. It could be just the difference in like the smallest color science. So different codecs. So for the people that are gonna get this, here's the thing. There's a variety of codecs, and I gotta say they're all good. They're all super good. But the thing is, like, some codecs are just a lot more flexible and forgiving than others. So the 12:1 6K raw compression I'm shooting at right now, I used to bash on that for people shooting 12:1, but the thing was that everyone's videos were so garbage that I always thought that it was rooted by because they kept shooting 12:1. But the thing was, like, it was YouTube compression. YouTube compression does one thing. One, they hate dark anything. They always band it together. That's why like a lot of successful YouTubers are super high key. They crank that exposure to 11, and the reason for that is because YouTube saves those details. One great example, because I swear this was shot in like 4.5K or 6K or 8K, was the Oreo commercial, Proud Parent. And in the first shot, you see the main girl. The highlighted, the high key part of her face. This was all shot. This was all exported in 1080. YouTube compressed more when it's in 1080. Super sharp, super perfect. I guess, and I was actually blown away because I'm like, this doesn't look like 1080. I know it was natively shot much higher, but 1080 on YouTube butchers everything except for that side. But on this side, again, the left side of her face, the shadow looked like it was out of focus. It was so muddied up. It was so terrible. So I always thought that, but turns out it's a combination of kind of both. 12:1 compression is not as forgiving as 5:1. A little bit more artifacts, but you do have to know how to expose properly. Just learn your exposure. I'll make a video, but you can see it play online. Learn how to expose. You're gonna run into situations where you need to, reading my notes here, have a discussion where is this codec going to, and how is this project being worked on? So if it's a long project, or you're trying to get as many content in a day, you're getting a lot of retakes, a lot of B-roll, a lot of interviews, a lot of stuff. You're getting like multiple hours of content. With this camera, it makes it feasible to get as much memory as possible. It's very affordable. But the issue is the fact that are you gonna have hard drive space for it? How are you gonna if you're gonna pass this on? Do they have a hard drive space for it? Are you okay with them holding onto your cards in the meantime until they're done? You can talk to the project where they can get their own memory, but then again, you want to know how can you have those memories so you can edit yourself and have your version of Reel, just cause, or have it back and forth with your editors if you have editors, and if you do have editors, do they only rock with Premiere? What are they editing on? Do they rock in Final Cut? Is B-Raw gonna work for them? And that's actually a project I'm doing now, which is like show you a clip. I shot it all in 4K ProRes 422, and not even HQ, mainly because it was the one codec that was good enough, the most efficient on memory, and it was Apple ProRes, so they actually can open it on a computer, and it would just run like a typical regular ProRes that it would. But if I were to shoot B-RAW, even though the 12:1 really rivals in memory space with ProRes, it just makes sense for the team because they were going to have an easier time with that. And then there's some people that would say like, hey, oh, if you could shoot ProRes, I'd rather shoot ProRes the same memory. And like the thing is, like right now, as of today, before the update, 12:1 6K RAW is better than ProRes in my opinion, mainly because memory space, you really just got to expose properly. You just expose properly, and then you can fix everything in grade. You can fix your look in grade. You get 12-bit color instead of 10-bit, and you get Gen 5 color instead of Gen 4. And I just got a little bit more dynamic range with Gen 5. And for me, like, the images just look a bit better on Gen 5. Splitting hairs, but that's just an option. You're getting this camera for the flexibility of RAW and the codec. But again, the tools are there for when you need them, and it really is clutch because I made some great work with the 4K ProRes and a lot of other people too. Moving on, the other aspect is how small is your build. That is a determining factor. I said how small your build is, and the oh shit factor. And the oh shit factor is like, say you lost a memory card, you came to the set with no memory card, or you're shooting outside and you dropped your memory card in the sewers. The oh shit factor is when I say like how easy would it be to get another recording media for your camera. And the thing was I was gonna say was not bad, not at all, because you can go anywhere to get a SD card, and you can shoot 6K RAW 12:1 compression, or you can shoot ProRes. It is not bad. So, but you can't shoot any higher than that. You can't shoot 5:1 compression. So if your whole project was based off of high frame rate 5:1 compression, that might be too fast for SD cards, and at least SD cards you can get around the corner stores or Best Buy, but you can't quickly like 5-minute Amazon it a Angelbird SD card to yourself. At that point, you might as well get a. Oh wait, that's actually the other thing. No, if you are nearby Best Buy, you can get a T5 drive, and you actually can shoot all the compressions you want. So there's that. Get a monitor, get a good one. Get a like a Shinobi, a small HD. Just get a good monitor for the sake of like to help with false color. So this monitor does have false color. I just used the one that's built into the camera. But if you get a really good monitor, use both just to really dial in your exposure. Because again, I emphasize this so much because YouTubers, the people that will get a camera and in 0.5 seconds make a review about it and have complaints, and these are the same people that don't expose properly at all. These people that will say like, oh, I like the Z-Cam much better than the Pocket 6K, and I will see clip highlights all over the place on the Z-Cam. Know how to expose, like learn how to expose, because like 90% of the people who own cameras like this, who own cinema cameras, overexpose. Like even my favorite YouTubers overexpose like crazy, and they're not really good examples of like of what the camera can truly do. 2 YouTubers that I've seen properly expose and showed off what the Blackmagic 6K can do. And that's News Shooter, and that's Matty Hipoya, and there's a third one, I forgot the guy's name. But I like him. Get a monitor, get good at false color, really learned it. Also, the one thing is, this actually may be good information for you guys, that your possibilities and expanding your projects. You can do both green and blue screen with this camera. So blue screen is just a bit of a cleaner look. That's actually why some on big sets you see it preferred over green screen. But the problem is that it's harder to do because it requires a higher resolution camera to capture just enough detail so that you can have that separation between subject and what's going to be VFX. Yeah, it's obviously 6K RAW. It can do blue and green screen. My goal is actually to get a giant blue screen and do it at home, and a couple lights, and do an at-home movie just off a blue screen and see how well can it be. Learn DaVinci Resolve. I don't care what you've done and what you're comfortable with and what you've mastered. Get good at DaVinci Resolve, because if you master other softwares but you don't know DaVinci Resolve, most likely you can improve your coloring skills, because there's no better coloring tool than DaVinci Resolve. Be better by knowing more. I don't care what people, I don't care how contempt or whatever you are. If you're an editor, I'm sorry, I don't consider you a real editor unless you know multiple platforms. So yeah, learn DaVinci Resolve. Don't be ignorant. Don't use the mini XLR or external line return. My job, I'm trying to do a good job of like saying out loud the acronyms of things so people can learn what they are. So XLR means external line return. Don't use it unless you're trying to work with very quick turnarounds. It's not that it's bad, but you're gonna get much better audio recording externally. Which I'm talking about for a film project. Again, the people that say I want this camera no matter what to shoot my stuff, to get that image quality, so my project, my stuff looks better, feels better. I can get I get it close to the image that I want. So don't stress yourself by having things wired into the camera. There's already gonna be enough wires. Trust me. There's already a lot of wires, and nothing has to do with audio. So yeah, just only use it when in a pinch, when you need it, when you need a very fast turnaround. Scratch audio is pretty good on this camera. Oh yeah, I wrote a small note for myself. Like here's the things, I'm so bothered by a lot of YouTubers. There's actually just a very few that are good at actual filmmaking, but the other ones are just YouTubers. I just like to keep them as their label, just YouTubers. So I wrote down like they can't expose, they can't learn a camera if the menu system is too difficult. And the overall title was that YouTubers will be a terrible first AC. And yeah, like anyone that's complaining about the menu system would be a horrible AC, because you're supposed to learn it. You're supposed to learn it thorough and not have an issue when it comes to preparing yourself for a set. And that's why they want DPs. They want to work with third and fourth cameramen that is familiar with the product, because I've worked with people that would rock my Blackmagic and not be familiar with it at all, and I would see such meh images. Like there'll be some at the moment, some tweaking you could do just to make the image just a bit sweeter, just to double check your due diligence to make sure things are in focus, things are exposed properly, and things will look good. You should know the camera 100%. The fact that my issue was that within an hour of the Blackmagic Pro, before anyone got their hand on it, before anyone see what's actually wrong with it, within an hour when that was announced, people already made videos complaining about it, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world, where I'm like, you actually complain about something you don't even physically have. Oh yeah, so speaking of Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro, the ND filters turns out not to be that, again, not scientifically accurate, not that good. And the thing was, I never had an issue with this because I'll use ND filters externally. And some people were like, oh yeah, it's just so convenient. I like to use internal ND filters. Yes, that's very convenient on a high scale. On a high scale, yes. But in reality, no matter what cinema camera I have, I can have the Alexa LF, which has inbuilt ND filters, or the C500 Mark II. I will rock a matte box, mainly because to put even a clear glass in front of the glass of my lens, just to protect it. You just don't know. You just don't know if someone spits on it or whatever, a rock, a chip, just to protect it. And also there's some expensive glass that you have that in mind, especially if you're buying this. If you're like me, who spent his budget specifically, like, I'd rather have one good lens than variety of meh lenses. And I shot with a very bad lens before, and it made my my image look like it was 1080p of how soft that lens was. Nothing was sharp at all, and it was not fast. That's my take. You can rock matte. That's what I promote that you guys all do. Just rock matte boxes. It'll make your projects look more expensive. Download the app. That's actually exactly how I'm recording myself right here. Was not that I could see myself. I have a monitor, but like, I use it to focus on me, and then I check my false color at a distance so I can see what more my skin exposure is at. So download the app. It helps in a pinch. It helps makes it possible for two people to operate one camera. Specific moments where you have to turn the camera on, but you cannot touch it. And I can think of two. One, when it's on a gimbal, because it either something can shift, put too much pressure on the motors. But the second thing was I actually did do. I did the gimbal thing too, but like I actually did do this. Was when you have a top-down view with a C-stand, in a C-stand, and the thing is that you have to wait forever for that C-stand to stop wiggling. And imagine trying to pull focus like that. Of course, the wireless follow focus would work, but if you have an autofocus lens, which I do, you can use the app. We could wait till the wiggle stop. Use the autofocus lens to make sure you're in focus. Check visually without touching it, and then you can use the app to start recording without touching it. So that is actually and the thing is that I find myself in that situation a bit more often, and a lot of you, for the top-down shot, that might be essential to elevate your story. So get the app right away. It's $5. Hopefully you have an iPhone. That's actually part of I'm gonna make a video why I'm sticking to iPhone, and I hate iPhones. So the next subject is get a cage. Get a cage. It is super important. I have one right now. It became a bigger deal to me once I got it, because I was gonna think to myself like, oh, I can rock the battery, the power-based edge, and just the camera, and I'll be fine for now. And the camera always wiggled. For you people that own this with me, you guys know this. It always twists and turns, and even on a gimbal, with just the camera. So the cage, for some reason, even though it's using one point of contact, I swear to God, Small Rig made it exactly for this, because it is such a tight and super snug feel with this. Just for that alone, I actually thought it was actually a great buy. Just when I put it on here, I don't even have a handle for it yet, because I'm thinking like I don't need it or whatever. But like just that alone, and for the mounting points, it is get a cage. I really recommend it. But the second thing I mentioned was, if you want to make money with the Blackmagic 6K, the cage can help you mount it on gimbals, and it'll mount on gimbals easier because it has 2 points of contact, so you can actually thread a 3/8 inch and a quarter inch. But the other thing is, there's mount on the side, so you can do vertical video. I haven't tested vertical video. I tested mounting it vertically, and mounting it vertically works actually just fine, especially if you use 2 points of contact. Big thing. Now, I know I mentioned this video for people who are gonna get the Blackmagic anyway. Besides what I say, you can do whatever you want, but do not get this if you're just trying to be a high quality YouTuber. You just won't succeed that way. It is just a harder camera. The codecs would not translate to YouTube as strong as you think it would. That's why like high compressed codecs and mirrorless cameras are booming, because like they're getting 10-bit 4K 10-bit ProRes at a codec that is as small as a 8-bit camera, not 8-bit codec. So they're extremely high compressed. That's actually part of the reason why I don't like the A7S lineup, because it's good, it looks good and all that stuff, but it's it's really hard to push colors. I've rarely seen people really push colors, and that's the difference between cinema camera and iPhone and mirrorless cameras. It's not just the resolution, it's the organicness of how you can push colors and it looks normal. But don't get this, you're gonna be a high quality YouTuber. You're gonna just give yourself a headache and give yourself a hard time and take up hard drive space, because YouTubers are meant to pump out content constantly. So small files that they have to store constantly, and codecs good enough to be sharp and amazing looking to make content with, but low quality enough that there's low fidelity loss, and they meet exactly the requirement to put on YouTube. That's why the A7S and the R5 and all the other cameras are really good for YouTube. But yeah, so you can do whatever you want. Yeah, and then I wrote a note saying that people will buy this because of the quality of the image that come out of this. The image that comes out is amazing, and they would deal with the shortcomings just like you would deal with the fact that it's a small camera. I really don't have much complaint about this camera because I am paying for what I'm getting. Actually, no, I can't complain about this camera because it's so beyond the value and the dollar I paid for it. Because I wrote on a note here saying that like, if you do it right, you can make this look like a $12,000 camera, or if you have the lighting budget, or if you're, really good at composition and lighting, and you have good movement, like a glide cam, and you're really good at it, or I say a glide cam because gimbal has a very specific look. You can still rock a gimbal or run an M or something like that. Doesn't matter. But you can, with all that combined for visuals, and you really, you have like aperture lights and tungsten lights everywhere, and you can really shape the light, and you have modifiers. You can make this camera look like a $35,000 camera. You can make it look way beyond its price point. Especially with all these LUTs on the internet, you can get it very, very close to an airy look or a red look. And red, they're just very saturated, very punchy, but airy just more filament. Red is just more moody, and you can get into all those directions. A very, very easy codec to work with, and you can really make it look way beyond its price point, and that's where the value is. Oh yeah, the thing, light always, because it will look like garbage. All cameras will look like garbage if you rely on indoor lights. It will not work. You can finesse it. You can get good, decent images out of it, especially with enough variety of color in the image. But light your images always. Don't get this camera if you have only intentions to shoot ProRes no matter what and never touch RAW. Like, that's actually the biggest waste I've ever came across. Again, you can do whatever you want. You can get this camera. The ProRes on here looks amazing. It's a downsample 6K, and for a lot of people that might work. And especially when you're say you're starting out and you only have SD cards, or you are you're hitting the ground running and you already learned everything about this, and you're gonna shoot a movie and you need as much space, you don't have money for more memory. Yeah, shoot ProRes. Don't be that person that like, oh, I shoot JPEG, RAW is overrated. Don't be that person. That is like the dumbest shit I've ever heard. If I was a director or whatever, and I heard that type of stuff from me, like, oh, I think we should do ProRes, it saves more memory. I never reshoot RAW. I would never hire you. I need a person that's versatile in all of it. I don't need someone that's ignorant and does one direction and do not want to understand the other one. There's a reason why the Arri 65 only shoots RAW. It cannot shoot anything else. It can only shoot 6.5K RAW. Summary. The summary is again, you're gonna buy this camera no matter what I say. I hope this was helpful. I hope you liked it. I hope I said I was really trying to find points from my experience with the camera, and when I'm learning, that wasn't so obvious, because that's the thing. Like, people have always talked about the body, the shape, the codec. Carlos Quintero went over the memory usage and the aspect ratio of the camera. And my thing was, I was trying to bring up some stuff that no one's mentioned, emphasizing that it's not a scientifically accurate sensor. That is the one thing. That is one of the few things you are paying for when it comes to just paying $2,000. It is not as accurate as a. It's not even as accurate as a Red Raven. Not that it's bad. It's gonna look pretty. It's gonna look great. But we're talking about like. Example is Cook lenses. They make their lenses in batches, but the thing was that even Cook mentioned that like it's hard to make their lenses exactly the same. Reason being is that you see the minuscule shifts in like tint. Like, I'm talking about extremely minuscule. You actually have to get a vector scope to possibly see it, and even then, like, you would have to pixel peep in the vector scope to see the difference. But they would launch like a whole bunch of 50 millimeters, right? Let's say Cook S4s, and they say like, yeah, some of them will be actually 48 millimeters, some of them will be 53. That's the minute variable, and that's what you know, it's like to have the black magic. Different codecs, different reasons. I was working on a project where I'm not going to be the one editing, so I have to hand it off, and the workload has to be light enough, good enough, versatile enough to work for them. This camera provides. That's actually a moment where it made so much sense to shoot ProRes. You can use blue and green screen. DaVinci Resolve come free. Use it, learn it. Don't be ignorant. Also, don't buy this camera if you don't have a computer. Like, that's actually also dumb. Get a computer. Like, that I'm not sure what in the world people would be doing if they have this camera and no computer. Oh yeah, YouTubers will be terrible first ACs. They complain about everything. I mean, they legit just do nothing but complain. Don't buy this to be a high quality YouTuber. And yeah, learn your camera, deal with the shortcomings, embrace it, problem solve, do what you need to do. Because again, you're an aspiring filmmaker. Also get a monitor. Always light your scene. Always check your exposure. I'll see you guys the next one. Peace.